class. My name is Preston. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying at home through this quarantine. So today I'm going to be discussing the controversy of the question, why or why not should college athletes be paid for everything they do? So March Madness is one of the most watched sporting events in the United States. And according to NCAA Finance, they are bringing in roughly $870 million solely based off ticket sales. So this is a huge tournament. Everybody knows about March Madness. Everybody goes inside, sits on their couches, and watches these games. And they're making $870 million just based off ticket sales. That doesn't include jersey sales, all the other advertisements, commercials, everything else that they receive. And according to College Express, CBS is paying a whopping $8.8 billion to extend their broadcasting rights from 2024 to 2032. That's an average of about $1.1 billion a year just to have the rights to show this tournament on their station. So there's a huge amount of money getting passed around, and not a single penny is going to these athletes that are the ones that are really bringing all this money into their schools. And I think that's quite unfair. So as a huge college sports fan, I'm also a college athlete. I'm very aware that these athletes are bringing in an astounding amount of money for their schools, and I believe that they deserve some sort of payment, or at least extra payment for their commitment to their sport and to their schools. So I have done research in order to further inform you why these college athletes deserve a paycheck. Today I will be sharing why D1 college athletes should receive payment for everything they do for their school. So first of all, college athletes have a lot higher chance of getting injured than your average college student. Because your typical student just goes to class, goes back to their dorm, does their homework and stuff. But these athletes, they're practicing every day. They're putting in so much of their effort. And according to At Your Own Risk, statistics reveal that 90% of student athletes report some sort of sports-related injury, and 54% of these student athletes report that they have been playing while injured. So they're pushing themselves to the absolute limit in order to get noticed and hopefully make it to the professional level. And by getting injured in college, this may hinder their chances of becoming a pro, and it also may hinder their opportunities for careers after college. So for example, let's say you're a star wide receiver. You're going to get targeted a lot during the games, which means you just have a higher and higher chance of getting injured. And if you happen to blow out your knee, and after college you were planning on being a personal trainer, this would make it very difficult to find a job because that involves a lot of physical exertion. And also colleges are willing to do whatever it takes in order for their team to win, even if that means sacrificing one of their players' bodies. And I think it's extremely unfair that these players can receive career-ending injuries and they don't get anything for that risk. Athletes are being used for many advertisement purposes and receive zero money for that as well. So according to Chris Murphy, the U.S. Senator of Connecticut, when it's all added up, advertisements included, the total revenue collected by sports teams reaches about $14 billion a year. So these athletes are being placed on posters, billboards, TV shows, commercials, and yet they're still getting nothing in return. And while it can be argued that a typical D1 athlete, if they're good, they're getting about $65,000 a year in scholarship money, that's still nowhere near how much they are raising for their school. So that's just unfair. And video games are also another very controversial topic for college athletes. So there's been a lot of discussion about EA Sports releasing their new NCAA college football game. It's like Madden. And the chances of its return are quite inevitable because everybody wants it. It's in very high demand. But there's still that same argument that, should these players be getting paid for being put into a video game? And I think it's the only fair thing to do, because the reason people are buying this video game is solely to play as one of their favorite players. So I think that if someone's going to buy this game to be that certain athlete, that person should be getting paid for everything they do. And there's a lot of counter arguments against athletes or college athletes getting paid. And one of the biggest ones is that paying these athletes may lessen the competitiveness of the player. So if you're a college athlete, the reason why you're putting in so much work and effort is to be noticed by a professional team and hopefully make it to the pros. So people are scared that if these athletes are getting paid now, they're going to lose that drive to really go for it all and put everything they got into the sport. So that's one of the big controversies. The second one is that it would be impossible to keep it fair across the board since each sporting event brings in different amounts of money. And that's also a fair argument because like college football brings in a lot more money than college golf. So it's going to be very hard to decide which sport gets which amount of money. And another argument is that players should be focused on education and not a paycheck, which is fair because the reason you're going to college is to get an education that hopefully sets you up for the rest of your life. So that's another fair argument. So now that I've explained many of the problems in this scenario, here are some of the solutions that I have come up with. So first of all, I believe that these athletes should be receiving different amounts of money based on how much money that sports generates for that school. So like again, I was saying, football brings in a lot more money than golf. So I think it's only fair that that football team gets more of that share of money that they're bringing in for that college. And also, I think that each player on the team should be receiving the same amount of money no matter how popular they are. And it brings a sense of equality to the team, and it would cause a lot less drama and arguing for players about like who should be receiving the most money and who should be receiving the least amount of money. So imagine a world where college athletes get what they deserve after all their hard work and constant effort. And this will also bring a lot of life lessons into play because they're getting money now, they're learning how to manage their money, and it'll be very helpful for the rest of their lives. And in the future, the rules should be changed. Athletes should be receiving pay for everything they do for their schools. They put blood, sweat, and tears in for their sports, and they truly deserve the money. So D1 collegiate athletes benefit their schools financially while at the same time risking their own bodies. So it is only fair that they receive compensation for everything that they do. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoy.